Hello, my name is Karen, and I work in the Youth Services Department at the University City Public Library. I'm going to tell you a story today, but first I want to give you some background on this story. You see, I heard it many times when I was growing up. Every summer, our family would take a camping trip, and on this trip we would go with several other families. This made those trips lots of fun because there were always lots and lots of kids. There was plenty to do. And every evening, we would all gather around a campfire and we would toast marshmallows and roast hot dogs and sing songs. And at least once every trip, Dr. Mobley would tell us this story. This is the story of Ickystickystambo. Now, once upon a time, there was a small kingdom ruled by a very nice king and queen. The kingdom's people loved their king and queen and were so happy when a little prince joined the family. The only problem was the king and queen could not decide what to name him. They tried every name they could think of, and none of them seemed right. So they asked the people of the kingdom for their help. And the people wrote in their suggestions. And now the king and queen had hundreds of names to go through. And they went through every single one and still couldn't decide. So what they decided to do was take a little bit from each and every name, put them together, and make one name out of them. And the name they came up with was Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, how about a Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone. So time went on in this nice little kingdom, and the little prince was growing up, and one day he was out playing in the garden with his favorite ball, bouncing it and catching it and throwing it around and chasing it. And soon the ball got away from him, and it went bounce, 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 flip. It went right down the well. Well, the little prince was chasing it so hard that when he got to the well, he went flip, 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 splash, and went right down the well. The gardener saw this happen, and he immediately ran to the door of the castle. And the butler answered, and the gardener said, "Little Prince Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." And the butler said, "Well, that's awful." And he ran to the cook and said, "Little Prince Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." And the cook said, "Oh, my stars!" And she ran to the downstairs maid and said, "Oh, little Prince Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." And the downstairs maid said, "Well, that's awful." And she ran to the upstairs maid and said, "Little Prince Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." And the upstairs maid said, "But I must go tell the queen." And she went into the queen and said, "Your Majesty, little Prince Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." The queen says, "I must consult my husband." And she went into the king and she says, "Our little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone has fallen down the well." And the king, who was a wise king, said, "Well, get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, habba Bosco, Icky na Nuaran Kanaran a trombone out of the well." So the queen went back to the upstairs maid and said, Get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Nuran, Conran, and Trombone out of the well. The upstairs maid ran to the downstairs maid. Get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Nuran, Conran, and Trombone out of the well. And the downstairs maid went to the cook. Get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Nuran, Conran, and Trombone out of the well. And the cook went to the butler. Get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Noran, Conran, and Trombone out of the well. And the butler went to the gardener. Get a ladder and pull little Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Noran, Conran, and Trombone out of the well. So the gardener went to his tool shed, and he pulled out the longest ladder he had. And he went to the well, and he put it down, and he climbed down and got to the little prince. And when he pulled him out, sadly, he had drowned. So the whole kingdom was very, very sad for a long, long time. And then eventually, the king and queen had another little prince. But this time, they decided to name him John. And the little prince grew and grew, and he played out in the garden. And one day he was out there with his favorite ball, bouncing it around and chasing it, and it got away from him and went bounce, 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 bloop, right down the well. And little Prince John was running fast after it, and he got to the well, and soon, flip, 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 splash! Prince John had fallen down the well. Well, the gardener saw this happen, and you'd think he'd be a little smarter by now, but no. He ran to the castle. The butler answered the door. Little Prince John has fallen in the well. The butler said, That's awful. And he went to the cook. Little Prince John has fallen in the well. And the cook says, Oh, my stars, not again. And she ran to the downstairs maid. Little Prince John has fallen in the well. And the downstairs maid said, Well, that's awful. And she ran to the upstairs maid and said, Little Prince John has fallen in the well. And the upstairs maid went to the queen and said, Your Majesty, little Prince John has fallen in the well. And her Majesty went to the king, and she said, Our little Prince John has fallen in the well. And the king said, Well, go get a ladder and pull him out of the well. So the queen went to the upstairs maid. Get a ladder and pull Prince John out of the well. And the upstairs maid went to the downstairs maid. Get a ladder and pull Prince John out of the well. And the downstairs maid went to the cook. Get a ladder and pull Prince John out of the well. And the cook went to the butler. Get a ladder and pull Prince John out of the well. And the butler went to the gardener. Get a ladder and pull Prince John out of the well. So the gardener went to the tool shed and pulled out that very same ladder and put it down the well, and he climbed down to get the prince, and he brought him back up, and the prince was alive. So, that's the end of this story, because the prince and the kingdom lived happily ever after. But there's a moral to this tale, and that moral is, if you have a child, never ever name him Ickystickystambo, no so Rambo, Habarabasco, Ickina, Noran, Conran, and Trombone. And that's the end of that story.